Hey everybody, Gil here with the Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, and in last week's episode, we went ahead and showed the fiberglass that got put down on the deck of the boat. We also went ahead and faired the underside of the ceiling in the coach house roof. If you didn't check out those videos, please do. If you're new to our channel, my wife and I upload videos every single week about our lifestyle living aboard and refitting our 51-foot classic sailboat. If you do enjoy that kind of content, do us a favor, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified of any new content. Well, good morning, everybody. It's been about 20 hours or so since we put that fairing on. Let's go on down below. We'll climb up on board the boat and see how well it looks. Come on board. Well, as soon as I stepped on board, I saw something that doesn't quite look right. I see a piece of PVC with a piece of 2x4 hooked to it down on the ground. That means that part of the cover came apart last night in the wind. That may not be good. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's not great. I can see here, this 2x4 looks like it's been dangling around in the fiberglass. Now it's torn that up, so that's going to have to be repaired. I'm down below, and this feels pretty good. It feels fairly smooth. Obviously, I need to sand it still, but I like the way the fairing compound feels in these. I've got a little drip here. I'll have to break loose. But yeah, this feels good. I put some here just to test this out. Remember, I still have to put the second half of this bulkhead in, but so far, liking the way that feels. Having the hatch out's kind of convenient. I can just set the things I need right up here, and kind of grab them from up beside the roof. Got my sanding stuff. But most importantly, I've got my coffee. Aha. I'm going to try to see how well I can show this on the camera, just to get a sense for what this looks like. So you can see the fairing compound there. I'm going to purposely leave the light off in hopes that that helps make it easier to see. And it's kind of focused there. So you can see it's rough, right? It clearly needs to be sanded, but I think that will give me a nice area to sand very smooth. You can see more of it here, and then I've got some back there as well. And even right here in that edge between the beam and the roof, that's the area where I was talking about. I used the curve edge of the scraper to get a nice rounded edge in there, a nice little fillet. So I like the way that looks. I'm going to rub above my head next to the companionway, and you can see that as well. There's the beam, and then that section as well. Oh, it's good.
Alright, well I'm going to start getting working here, and we'll see if we can't get this sanded. So let me get the sander going. I'm going to connect it up to the shop vac because I want to try and keep the dust down here to a minimum. Let's give it a shot. So I like this. This really smoothed it out nicely. I just have a couple little places to clean up right here now. That looks good. Let's try and move to the next one and see how well it works. I will say the vacuum hose is doing a great job of keeping the dust down in here, which is nice.
I gotta tell you, that is tiring. Doing it over the top of your head, I'm glad I'm just doing small pieces at a time, but if I had to do that all day long, I would, well, one, I probably would have stronger arms, but two, my arms are just worn the heck out. If I have to, later tonight, like rub my eye, I'm not sure I'm gonna lift my hand up all the way, and all I'm holding is a sander. My gosh, I'm out of shape. Ugh. Murphy's Law here. I just got done with all this and realized I forgot to do this part right here. Alright, so let me show a close-up here and show you how this looks now that I've sanded it down. I'll start with the last section we were just looking at a minute ago. As I mentioned, you can see here we got the wood's exposed right there, and then the fairing compound down to the other part of the bulkhead. But again, this teak trim is going to cover this whole thing up, so that's fine. Let's kind of go up here and look at the roof a little bit. Let me see if I can change the angle, might make it a little easier. So right here we've got that nice and smooth. which will be great when we put white paint on the roof, which we're going to repaint the whole inside of the roof white again. It'll look really good. We're still considering what we're going to do up here. We'll probably paint this, but over the next year, we're likely going to put insulation in here in some way just to help out with condensation and everything else. And then you can see the section here as well. Looks good. You go forward here. You see this section too, just a small amount of fairing there. I didn't need much on that. That was the last joint I did, and I got better at it, quite frankly. And then here's where I started out, and if you'll remember, I mentioned I was going to put it on thick. You can see the darker spots right over here. I need to do another little layer of fairing on that. Those happen to be low spots, so I need to get a little bit more in there. Same with here. You can see a couple of small low spots, but just to give you an idea, this one looks really good. I know it looks patchy there, but when you rub your hand across it, it is completely smooth. Same with this one right here. Nice and smooth as well. So once that's all painted, you won't even see that that is, where the two pieces of core were joined together. Let me see if you can see this. Along the beam and the edge of the roof, this is where I use the corner of that scraper to get a nice rounded edge on that, and that looks really good. Feels real smooth to the touch. And once that part's painted up there, I think it's going to look great. The reality is if you run your finger along it, it's not 100% smooth, but it's very, very smooth. And unless you got up there with your hand and you rubbed it, you'd never see that. So I'm really pleased with the way this looks right now. So as you know, we've done a ton of work to try and get rid of all of our leaks, and the decks and everything are working great. I did notice that I saw some drips in the V-berth a couple of weeks ago during a heavy rain. So I put a big Tupperware bin kind of over the open floor section where the bow thruster is, just to make sure everything dripped. It didn't get down on the electrical components of that. Interestingly enough, that bucket was darn near full after those 2 weeks of not being here. It was like 2/3 of the way full. A lot of water has been coming in there. Now, I know it's not the deck. It's nothing that the yard didn't do correctly. So I'm going to go up there and do a little inspection. I believe it's coming from where the companionway slide rails are bedded to the top of the newly built doghouse. So I'm going to go down there and check it out. We'll see if we can see it there. It rained pretty good last night, so we should be able to see the wet spots. And I've looked at it. I've come down here a couple times when it's raining to try and find it. But that's going to be one of the repairs we have to do. Pull that whole hatch off, or that whole companionway off, and the rails, clean them up, and rebed them. I think I'm probably going to use 4200. I hate using 4200 or 5200, but I need something that's going to adhere and be a good water block. And since both of those are good for under the water line, I think I'll end up using the 4200 here. So thank you, Stephen, for the tip. All right, so come with me on my balance beam while we walk across all the openings of the floor. Where I have all the cushions stacked so they don't get dirty and nasty up there. So let's see. So this is the rain from last night, and there's not a lot in there, but there is certainly some in there. And I'll show you why I wanted to cover this up. So there, a piece of the floor is out, and you can see the tube right there that goes across horizontally. That is where the bow thruster is. The motor is what runs that bow thruster. So it's a nice one. It's a pretty powerful Vetus. Can't wait to really use it a little bit more, just to kind of get a feel for it, since it's new to me using a bow thruster. All right, so just to orient ourselves here, I am standing with my head up in the doghouse. This is the part that opens onto the deck aiming aft, and this here is the part of the slide, right? So it slides open. The companionway rail is here. This is the slide rail that it slides on. And the water seems to be coming in right here. So I believe what's happening is this rail is not bedded to this piece very well. As a matter of fact, there's a gap right there, and I've not stuck something in it to see how far it goes. But I believe what we're going to have to do here is take this rail right off and rebed all that. And you can see over here, I'm seeing the same thing. And this one has a piece of decorative trim over it, so it sort of hides what might be occurring. But again, you can see where that cut is. And this one drips right in here. And as a matter of fact, it's damp when I'm putting my finger in there. I suspect, just like on the other side, what's happening is the water is running along this and coming behind here. This piece of trim is hiding what's actually occurring. So over time, this water has run in here long enough that it started to rot this little piece of framework. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of repair on this as well. It looks so messy down here. I can't wait to get this cleaned up and done. It's going to be nice. Well, with the sanding done, I think I'm actually going to call it a day today. Deb and I are planning on going to check out a movie tonight. So a little date night for us. After sanding the roof and getting it smooth, I have a couple of spots I need to go ahead and do a little touch-up on. I'll certainly work on that the next day I go over to the boat. But in the meantime, we're going to take us a little break. And by a little break, we mean a crawfish boil. Now, this is not for paddling a dinghy, though it may look like it. This is for stirring 70 pounds of crawfish. I stir the pot in a lot of ways. We're going to cook some of this up, and we'll kind of take you along for the ride. So we're working on a little test run here, and a couple we'll boil in this pot just to make sure we get it all right, and then we'll get everything else going here in just a second.
Hey everybody, look what we got. Some good eating tonight.
Oh yeah.
So we got our PETA friends over here fishing.
What you doing over there? You fishing?
I'm trying to catch the little tiny baby crawfish.
Okay. Hey everybody, it is Thursday after work, and I saw some interesting things on the camera yesterday, so I wanted to come check it out. Yeah, sneak peek. I know there's some exciting stuff that happened because I got a text yesterday with a photograph from the yard owner. I'm pretty excited about this. Let me show you what's over here. So we'll just do it in a complete reveal fashion here. So, haha, there she is. De-tarped. I love it. Yeah, looks good. Let me kind of take a walk right on through here and kind of show you what the whole thing looks like. I mean, the deck obviously still needs some more work done yet on it. They're still working on the coach house roof, but they're certainly getting it ready for all the work that's going to need to be done. I am terribly excited about this. Terribly excited. It's good stuff. Yeah, so as you can see, we have been de-tarped. I am terribly excited about this. I think this is awesome. Let's step aboard and check it out. Ha. So nice, so nice. And they clean the deck off, which is kind of interesting. I get it. They have to do that, obviously, to get all the rest of the work done that they're going to do. But it's beautiful to kind of, look here behind me and see a boat that's free from, well, all the crap from doing boat work. Yeah, so I can definitely see a lot of stuff that's been done. Little things you may not notice as you first glance at it, but I can see that the backstay is now in place. On either side, the topping lift is now in place. So this thing, this big old boom, is no longer being supported by that giant 10 by 10 block that was there. So that's exciting. And in order to prep and get ready for paint and everything else and the repairs, they did go ahead and you can see the cardboard right up here on the roof, or the thin plywood that's duct taped down. The purpose of that was to keep it waterproof with the tarp off of it. Closer look here. So there you go. You can see this patch up here. Obviously still some work to be done. It needs to be ground and faired and everything else, but it's certainly a good start. This is a big repair that was done over here, and the interesting thing is this had a piece of the tarp kind of got stuck down in here, so they're gonna end up having to ground this out and do the repair on that. But the nice thing is we're talking about good solid deck with all new core here. Now, that's terribly exciting. And then obviously the biggest of repairs, from the companionway all the way over here to to this back hatch. It's interesting, I can see here they put a temporary rail up here so that they could actually do the painting and the repair work without removing the companionway hatch. I no longer have a blue hue. I am standing in the sunlight, and I am on the deck of the boat. It means we have been de-tarped. I keep referring to it as that. So Wednesday I was watching the video camera footage, right, and I noticed that I got a little pop-up, there's been activity, and I looked and I could see somebody taking the camera off the top and put it down below. I said, oh, that's interesting. They can't move the camera down below. I must be getting ready to fair or paint and didn't want to get anything on it. And a couple minutes later, I was looking at the footage, and all of a sudden it got really bright down below. It got really bright because Ta-da! The sun is here. So it's really cool to kind of see the progress they've made. One, they've cleaned everything up off the boat, which, you know, you forget just how ratty and crappy everything looks when you have all this stuff laying around. You can see the repairs on the deck. They're good and thick. You know, this is a good, strong 1709 biaxial. There's rove and woving down here. There's chop strand. I mean, they've definitely put their layers down here. The edges are a little messy, but that's to be expected. At the end of the day, they need to grind all that down and you know, get it nice and even. You know, here you can even see where, you know, some of this is not even down all the way because it's seated into the opening, and this will be ground off. From that, they will fair this whole thing, and we will end up repainting the whole roof of the boat. And right here, you know, if you've been watching these videos, you know that is where the mizzen mast step goes. We have a new mast going up. We're replacing the wooden mast with an aluminum. Aluminum mast has been wrapped up, sitting in the shop here now for months since it's been done, and now it's just a matter of getting it stepped. So we're really excited. As a matter of fact, most people probably know the tradition on a sailboat is you put a coin at the foot of the mast, at the base of the mast, underneath it when you step the mast. It's a token to the sea gods. It's for good luck. And we really wanted to have an interesting coin for this. We looked for coins from Taiwan from 1978. That's where this boat was manufactured, and the year it was manufactured, we thought that would be kind of interesting. We looked for coins that had Neptune on them. We actually found one from the crew of Poseidon from 1978, and we ordered a Mardi Gras doubloon, an actual silver doubloon that they used to throw off the floats back in 1978, before it was just plastic trinkets. And it's a 1978 coin, and it says crew of Poseidon on it. We thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then Deb ran across a guy, runs a company called Buffalo Nickel. I will put a link in the description below. If he has a YouTube channel, I will put a link up here as well. I don't know if he does. The guy does amazing work. He makes custom coins to order. Beautiful thing is, I'll have to show a picture of this coin in this video. It is a two-sided silver dollar coin. You know, it's a good size. On one side of it, it has Neptune holding the trident, and it on the other side, it actually has a line drawing of this boat, Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, and along the top, he put SV Dream Chaser. It is just unbelievably beautiful, well worth the money we spent. I will tell you, we ordered it for the purpose of putting below the mast. We saw it, and we decided it's not going below the mast. It's going to be on display, so we're going to build a little box and actually have a place to display it down on the boat. We'll probably end up putting one of those doubloons or something underneath the mast for good luck. But yeah, really cool coin. I can't wait to show you what that looks like. I miss this. I haven't sat in the sun up here in so long. Man, this is friggin' awesome. I love it. Yeah, so it's been a little while since we saw it from either side. There's the profile. She's gonna look good, especially when she gets the teak trim back around those windows and the handrails up there. Boy, exciting. I can already see where the bilge drains out of the side of it right there. We're going to have to keep that nice and clean. You can see a little nastiness there. So you may wonder if I'm excited. I don't know if the smile shows it, but the answer is yeah. Like, I feel like it's getting closer, and that's pretty darn cool. I'm also coming to the realization that I have a lot of work to do. I still have to fix that companionway up front. The rails are leaking. I want to rebed glass in the butterfly hatch. I know I'm going to have to redo the rail on the main companionway hatch. As soon as they get the fiberglass done. I know I'm going to have to rebed a new hatch frame on the forward part of the galley. So I certainly have my work ahead of me for sure. Even though they've gone this far, I still have a lot more I've got to do. And I'm sensitive to the fact that they're about to put paint on it, and it's going to look great, and I don't want to mess that up doing work on it. So what I might see is when they get epoxy on it, the first coats of epoxy, barrier coat, if you will, or a first coats of epoxy paint, I think at that point I will probably do all the bedding of it and then ask if they can wait and paint it until after I'm done with that. That way the decks and everything else are painted just before we ultimately get it. Like, it kind of sounds like the last thing they may do. You know, we'll see, but that was logical, at least to me. So yeah, the realization though now is shoot, I got a lot of work I got to get done. And I think Deb and I should get down here. We can start doing some varnishing. You know, I sanded, if you recall, back in November or December before the boat even went back in the water. I spent, 4 days or so on the scaffolding, going down to bare wood on everything teak on the outside. That was enough time ago now that I need to kind of lightly go over it with 220 and get a couple of coats of varnish or some kind of bright work material on it. We are leaning very heavily toward varnish. We're looking at Latankanois. I have some Latankanois, and I also have Allwood MA, which has come to me with great referrals and recommendations. I've just not used it before. Part of me almost wants to do one side in Latankanois and the other side in Allwood MA. I just hate the idea of having to redo part of it. So I kind of feel like whatever I put on, I ought to stick with that for all of the tow rails, for example, and then find another area to experiment with. But I've heard nothing but great things with Allwood MA. As a matter of fact, I've always said this girl has beautiful curves, and sorry, my wife, I'm smitten with her curves too. But listen, the good news is I know you are as well. Yeah, just take a look at the deck. You know, you guys have probably seen this before, but it was hard with it under the cover. That's all new glass. It's layers of glass. You can kind of see the little divot right up here. That's actually where one of the door aid vents go through. So the door aid sits right there, and the cowl vent kind of goes over the top of it. But yeah, man, just cannot get over just how excited I am about the way she looks. I'm actually going to call it a day. The reality is I did no work down here. I just kind of came down here to, well, get all bonerized and stuff, and I'm pretty excited and stoked about it. I said stoked. You know, like an 18-year-old surfer, I said stoked. That tells you just how stoked I am. Look at that. Give that a thumbs up, baby.